Hi again, it's Kimberly and Knit for Brains, and today is Work in Progress Wednesday. Yay! This really helps to keep me on track so that I can finish projects. So thank you very, very much. Please, again, like and subscribe. I love your comments, love the things coming in. Y'all have noticed the yarn. We're actually in the process of building a new craft room / studio upstairs. So stay tuned. The environment might change a little bit, but I'm going to do some segments on what it's going to look like, the before and the afters, and setting up the craft room, and maybe you'll get some ideas, and you can always comment and give me some ideas as well. So this week, I'm going to show you what I'm doing as far as my work in progress. Now, last week, I showed you I actually have two projects going on. I have the Toni crocheted mosaic, which is here. You can go ahead and check on that video and see my progress on that. The other one I've wanted to do, and this is what I've always wanted to do, is a temperature blanket. And the traditional temperature blankets that I've seen have more of a rainbow color, and they just go row by row, back and forth and back and forth. And then you can change up the stitches or the border or the colors or something like that. Toni Lipsey with TL Yarn Crafts has some beautiful temperature blankets, and she does one every single year. So a couple weeks ago, I said I was going to kick it off, and I was going to learn how to do Tunisian crochet, and she was going to teach me, and I was going to do this big Tunisian crochet temperature blanket, which I started. Tunisian crochet is something that I want to do a little bit on a smaller scale, because you really have to kind of watch your borders, the stitch count in your rows. And until I really get going with that, I didn't want to get like 6 months into this project and realize I hated it. This year, Toni launched, and I guess it was her 2021 cal, I believe. She just launched her linen stitch granny square temperature blanket. Now, I'm a huge fan of granny squares. I love the granny square blanket. Love it, love it, love it. And I love the linen stitch. As a matter of fact, this is my granny square blanket squares, right? And I did this beautiful linen stitch scarf that I loved. I love the linen stitch. So when Toni launched her linen stitch granny square blanket, I was like, yes, please. So I changed my mind and I changed my project. And now I am doing the linen stitch granny square temperature blanket. So don't hate me because I changed my mind. But I'm loving this so much more than I was loving the Tunisian. And I will still do the Tunisian, but just not with this. So still following the instructions for my temperature blanket, using the same skeins of yarn. So what I've done is, and here in Southern California, we don't get snow and sleet and ice, and really the temperatures are pretty amenable no matter what time of year it is. So I created my chart based on my stash, what I had in my stash. The Brit, aka the husband, is very happy about that. For temperatures between 45 to 51 degrees, and 45, I'm sorry to say, for those of you that live back east, 45 is about as cold as it gets here. And so that I'm using this yarn called the Bedazzled, which is this one right here. So this is the Lion Brand Wool Ease Cake. And this is a 3, which is nice. It's a lightweight, really great for blanket because it's nice and warm, and you can see it's got really good definition, but it's a lighter blanket. It's not going to be super heavy and bulky. And I have a lot of this anyways. So for temperatures between 45 degrees up to 57, I'm using the Bedazzled. Now, why is she giving such a huge bracket, you ask? Because there are so many different variegations in these colors that I can actually get just right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 colors just out of this one skein. So that's what I'm doing for the temperatures between 45 to 57. From 58 degrees up to 69 degrees, I am doing Forever Young, which I don't know that I have right in front of me. That's a bummer. I'll have to show you that. That's Forever Young. It's a little bit lighter than this one here. Okay. And actually, currently, it's these colors right in here. All these pinks and rose and kind of taupes and browns and that kind of a stuff, but the browns with a little bit of a pink hue to it. So this is the Forever Young. Then for temperatures that go from 70 degrees up to 81 degrees, again, now I'm moving into the Wool Ease. This is called Meadow. And again, you can get a good 9 or 10 different colors out of these skeins. So starting off with a little bit more of the wintry colors with this, because it kind of reminded me of the fall colors. Then I move into the winter/spring colors, moving into the Forever Young. When I get into the true spring, into the summer, I'm going into the Meadow. Okay, and then lastly, for the temperatures from 88 degrees to 95 and above, which we get a lot of, I am doing this one here, which is called Strawberry Shortcake. And so again, you got the 9 colors in here. So these are the colors that I'm using. And the way that this works, I will include a link to Toni's pattern. But the way that this works is that you do 12 squares of these, right? Now, you do have to block them, but that's okay. I don't mind blocking. And so you do the 12 squares, and each month corresponds to one of the squares. So you have the 12 squares. Each one of the squares has 33 rows. So for instance, in the month of January, there's only 31 days. So I would do all my colors, and I'm just about to finish this. And then what I would do is I would add 2 more rows. And Toni just said to use one solid color. I think she used a white, so I'm going to use a white. So if a month has 30 days, then I will do 3 rows of white, and so forth. And then so all the squares are going to be the same size. If you haven't done the linen stitch, I highly recommend it, and I'm including the link for Toni's tutorial down below. Toni from TL Yarncrafts does beautiful tutorials on the Tunisian, on the linen stitch. She just really has some beautiful, very easy to understand tutorials. If you haven't done the linen stitch before, I highly, highly encourage you to try it. It is probably the easiest stitch you're ever going to learn, and it's one of the most impressive looks. What you do is you chain 1, and then you put in a single crochet. And then the chain 1, so it's basically chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. The chain 1 goes over the single crochet from the previous row, and the single crochet is hooked into or sewn into that single chain from the previous row. So what you end up getting is a little bit kind of a V-stitch. I've heard it called tweed, I've heard it called a linen stitch, but it just gives you this really beautiful pattern that you can not only see the variegation of the different colors in the yarns, but as it drops down, then you really get a nice contrast between the 2 rows. So that is what I'm doing. It's a little bit different. It is not your traditional temperature blanket. That's what I think I really liked about it. 2 of my favorite things to do are the granny square and the linen stitch. Another thing I liked about this too is a square just seems more manageable to me. You know, like you're only doing 1 row. So each row all the way around is a full day. Okay. So as long as you stay up on top of it, it's not too hard to kind of keep it going. And here's a little side note. I did lose track of it for about 6 days. But what I do is I go to AccuWeather, and then I just record the weather for those days onto this spreadsheet. So I'm looking for the high. I basically, if you go into AccuWeather, it'll tell you your city, it'll tell you the high. So then I just put the different months down here and then the different temperatures here. So all I have to do is just go back and follow up with it. And I was able to catch up completely in 1 night. All I have to do now with this is I have to add in 3 more rows right here. And then I have to do 31st. I have to do 2 rows of white. So I will follow up with you in 2 weeks. Next week, I will bring you my progress on the mosaic crochet tutorial, or the mosaic crochet, the Indiana Afghan that I'm doing. And then the following week, I will be 3 weeks into my 2nd square for my temperature blanket. So thanks so much again for watching. As always, I love comments, love the feedback that we're getting here. And I'll just keep it coming along. So, and stay tuned for more episodes. Please feel free to comment below. Have you done a temperature blanket? Have you tried Toni's linen stitch? and or this, are you working on this blanket as well? So let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. Kimberly again with Knit for Brains. I'll see you next week.